Hey, Jeff, it's on you.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Diane, it's on you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of- Maybe not. You don't have a spot?
Yeah.
No. Attorney spot?
I don't want to blow things up, exactly.
So he's not opposed. Hopefully ask him so.
The old cop.
John Anthony's got on most of these, everything else.
I'm about to get the answer here.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started this evening with the City of Centerton Planning Commission, March 1st, 2022 with the roll call.
Jeff Seifert,
Here.
Joey Engel,
Here.
Devin Murphy,
Here.
Craig Lanford, absent, Jerry Harris,
Here.
Amber Leo, here, John Sessom,
Here.
Ben Lewis, Tony Davis.
Here.
All right, first thing on the agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes from 2/15 of 2022.
This is Joey, I'll make a motion to approve the planning minutes from 2/15/22.
Second. Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? All right, thank you guys. Next on the agenda is the ratification of the admin approvals. There are four. There's 4 tracks, but it's actually Woodmansee, Sonic, Jackson, and Morales. Are there any questions or comments from any of the commissioners or staff? If there are not, then I would entertain a motion to approve the admin approvals.
This has been, I'll make a motion to approve the ratification of administrative approval.
Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? Thank you. No old business this evening. First thing under new business is a public hearing for a conditional use 2202 Big Sky Phase 2 model home on lot 71. It's in the future Big Sky Phase 2. As a reminder, it's zoned R2 and it's a 0.38 acre lot. Is the develop, or is the applicant here to give us an overview? Eric, do you know if they were coming or not? Do you know if they were coming? Do you know if the applicant was coming for this?
I have no idea.
Okay. You want to go ahead and give us an overview then?
Yes, just 1 sec. Looking at a conditional use permit for Big Sky Phase 2, and that is the use of a model home sales office. Located on lot 71 of Big Sky subdivision. Currently it is sitting as a vacant. At the time it was currently sitting as a vacant lot, but it's being built. And so the planned structural changes we would do to build the model house. And the hours of operation would be Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday. There's to be 2 permanent employees in the state agent that comes by on Saturdays. Anticipating home buyers that are scheduled to come visit. Parking would be limited to 4 cars on a concrete driveway and a planned gravel pad that can accommodate 2 cars. Signage would include a temporary banner put on the house. Have water, electric, and sewer connections. So the property is adjacent to R2 zoning west, east, and north. And the parcels in the south are in Benton County. It is not currently on a floodplain. The lot fronts Elkhorn, which is the front street, which is also adjacent to Walters Road. So parking will be limited to the driveway and gravel pad, not allowed on the street. Application encouraged to provide ADA accommodations and will accept liability if non-ADA compliant, and will be responsible for ensuring that noise ordinances are followed. All right.
So does that represent the gravel lot there next? Does that represent? the
Yes.
gravel?
The applicant didn't really give me an exact location, but he said there will be a gravel lot. Probably adjacent to the concrete driveway.
You know how far away from that corner that is from a safety perspective? It's hard to see on, well, I guess we can't tell, can we?
It's about 40 feet, 35, 40 feet. The edge of the driveway. The right away.
They're supposed to be 30 feet. So that may have to. Or something.
Not sure that I'm a fan of the gravel drive being right there by the edge of the street, but yeah. Did you ask him for a hard surface or did he just want to do gravel?
He just said, I asked him about parking, and he said, we had 4 cars on the driveway. And he said they had plans to add some gravel for additional cars. I don't know exactly where he wants it though.
So did he do this or he sent this in with the?
He sent it in with the application.
I think I'm a bigger fan if we have some kind of more permanent surface there. I don't know what the rest of the county commissioners think, but it seems like especially there, we'd want to have a little bit better arrangement for parking in a hard surface. You guys think about that?
Jeff, this is John. What was the distance to the end of the street? Does that block any field of view from making a right turn off of Walters?
I think it's 40. We think it's 40, John.
Okay.
And I think Lorraine said the minimum's 30.
Okay, now that's pretty close to.
Is this a side load garage?
Side load.
I believe it is.
I can imagine that they would be leaving that as gravel for the driveway.
Well, the sidewalk's required in the front, right, on the south side of the house, right? So that
I mean, part of that would need to be the apron would need to be concrete.
I think that's all concrete. I don't think he shows the driveway.
The sidewalk looks the same color as that shaded area there, so that's all, that's all permanent.
So that would be the driveway, the actual driveway.
That's the driveway.
Yeah, so where is he talking about parking, overflow parking at being located?
I'll tell you.
You're up. Gavin, we have some questions if you want to come up to the podium for it. So walk us through our biggest question right now is gravel and hard surface. What your intention is.
Can I walk over and show you? So the intention is that this part right here will be concrete as would be for future rezoning of that driveway. And then we talked about adding some gravel right along here within that setback line, just to allow additional parking spots.
You expect them to go back out through the driveway?
No, there's actually a driveway right here from the old. So you actually, it's not shown on here because during the construction process for the subdivision, we're gonna have to add some pipe through here. That's denoted on there, but there's already a driveway with the flute pipe. We're just gonna connect onto it further down and keep coming south. That's the old driveway from the original.
So it's off of Walters Road instead?
And Elk.
Yes. And the same thing with the water meter that's there. That's from the original inhabitants that was there.
I'm gonna be a fan of keeping that on Elk, for sure.
Elkhorn? Yeah, there'll be a driveway off of that.
Yeah, I think that should probably be your only access.
Excuse me?
So I think that should be your only access.
And that's fine.
Into Walters. Yeah, and you would, and I mean, to be frank, you wouldn't have that other one too long anyway, right?
A lot of that'll be disrupted. during the construction. If you look at that, sorry, I'll show you this again. This is gonna be the eventual concreted part of the trail system.
Sure. That's what I meant.
Yeah, so
Yeah, Phil.
that'll all go away during construction of the subdivision. And obviously with construction times the way they are, even if we started today, that facility wouldn't be ready to do anything with for probably 8 months. And with the subdivision having already been started, I would envision that the subdivision will be finished before the house is passed, or even ready for final inspections, which we would still have to get a certificate of occupancy like normal from building inspection in order to do anything with it anyway. But really, it's just a hedge on time to try to get ahead of, instead of waiting 6 months for the subdivision to start and then start the model home and another 8 months, we're a year and change behind before we could receive potential customers and clients. Well, this way, we'll probably within a month or so after the subdivision's completed, have a facility that will receive the public for sales and information about the next subdivision. I mean, several of the other developers do that. Schumer Mitchell does it. Some of the other ones do it too. Same thing. They'll get started ahead, but they won't open it till after subdivision's approved, and then also the city inspections are all finalized out.
Yeah, on the other model homes, we have a hard surface for all of the available parking for anyone that would come in and out of the house. So before you got here, we were having a conversation, where was the gravel going to be? And then we were not as big of fans of gravel as we were of a more permanent surface.
And quite frankly, most of the folks who we built houses for in phase one, because of the way this sets off, they usually will add additional concrete parking here to where they can park RVs and boats and whatever, as long as it's behind a fence for the covenants. Which I don't have a problem adding additional concrete. It just adds value to the property for a potential buyer down the road anyway. And I've torn a few of them out for people. too, so Concrete's something you can get rid of if somebody doesn't like it.
Any other questions? All right, thanks, Kevin. This is a public hearing for anyone that wishes to speak, so at this time, I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing for conditional use 22-02, Big Sky Phase 2 model home.
Tony, I'll second.
Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? All right, does anyone wish to speak or have any questions or concerns in regard to the conditional use 2202 for the Big Sky Phase 2 model home? Second call. And third and final call for anyone who wishes to speak. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Jerry, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? All right, so I made a change from gravel pad to hard surface. And other than that, I didn't have anything else. Did anybody else?
What about the access off of Walters?
Yeah, and it wasn't written on here, but we would say no access off of Walters at this time as well. I'm good.
Joey, I'll make a motion to approve conditional use 2202 Big Sky Phase 2 model home. With the additional condition of access only off of Elkhorn and no gravel parking surface.
John, I'll second.
Motion in a couple seconds. Laura, if you'll do a roll call for me, please.
Joey Ingles. Dennis Murphy.
Yes.
Jerry Harris.
Yes.
Amber Beal.
Yes.
John Sessom.
Yes.
Ben Lewis.
Yes.
Tony Davis.
Yes.
And Jeff Sark.
Yes. All right, thanks, Kevin. All right, next on the agenda this evening is also a public hearing. This is for rezone 22-02. There's 7 properties that are involved. TriStar Construction is the developer, and I have Nick as the representative. The 4 parcels are James Milligan, 591 Keller Road, NFAS Corporation, Kenyon, NWA Friends First Venture, Arkansas Highway 279, and INFAS Corporation at on Highway 102. The applicant here to give us an overview.
Elizabeth Oaks with TriStar Contractors.
I'm sorry.
Elizabeth Oaks. So we have the 7 properties that we're looking to rezone. First one is a 2-acre tract that's adjacent to our Crystal Cove development that we're doing right now off of Crystal Keller. And we've already applied for the lot split that will be on the 15th planning commission for the lot line adjustment. We're just looking to add an extra 2 acres to our existing development. So it'll be the same RTHMF 12 as what we're doing in Crystal Cove. We can keep going with that. Okay.
Go ahead and do all of them for us.
Okay, next up is we're going straight down Kenyon. The next 10-acre tract is same thing. We're gonna do the RTHMF 12. The 5 plexes, just like we're doing with Crystal Cove. And then the next parcel is a 30-acre tract. It will be RTHMF 12. 5 plexes, and then the one to the north will be the same RTHMF 12, 5 plexes. And then the next one, that's a 40-acre tract that we are wanting to do the R3MF. So that one will be a blend of 2 plexes and 3 plexes. And then the one there on the south side of 102, we're gonna do commercial highway frontage, And then roughly, I think it was around 5 acres. And then the rest of that, we're gonna do 2 and 3 plexes as well, the R3MF.
Diane, you want to give us a staff overview?
As Beth stated, they are for this little 2-acre parcel here. They are expanding the already approved and under construction now Bristol Cove Townhomes, which is the RTH MF12. And this is zoning to the north of Kenyon Road and direct west of that one. Also the RTH MF12. And then the parcel here at the corner is Highway 279 and Kenyon Road. They are looking for the multifamily R3. So that would be anywhere between single family to up to 4 units attached. But they are looking to do just up to between 2 and 3 for that. And the density for that one is actually 8 units per acre at the most. And then the RTH MF12 is up to 12 units per acre. So this is actually a little bit less dense in this area here. And then this parcel here, they are doing the highway frontage, which is going to be commercial, and then the 2 and 3 plex here also. So that's again the 8 units per acre. Currently, everything is in the county except for the 2-acre tract right here that is in the city. It is pending annexation currently. The process has already been started for that, but of course, all this depends on it being annexed into the city. But it has already started, and of course, when it's annexed, it is annexed as A1, hence they're asking to rezone here. And this parcel here, you guys just rezoned that last year. To the R3 single family and highway commercial there also, and that is owned and being developed by the same folks that are before you tonight. That's kind of a quick nutshell of this one. We can go into more details unless you have any additional questions after the public hearing.
Thank you, Diane.
However you prefer.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to the public. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
To open the public hearing for rezone 22-02.
Motion and second. Is anyone opposed? All right, we are open to the public now. If there's anyone that wishes to speak or have any questions in regards to the rezone 22-02, again, it's 7 properties. We'd ask that you come to the podium. We ask for your name and your address. And then again, any questions or comments that you have. Second call for anyone that wishes to speak. And a third and final call for anyone that wishes to speak in regards to rezone 22-02.
This is Joey. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for rezone 2202.
Sambro, second.
Motion and second. Is anyone opposed? Any comments or questions from any of the commissioners?
My question is on that parcel that's going from C3 to RF right there.
Yes.
What's our future land use right there at that intersection of Bliss?
I will scroll down to that and let you see. It is.
Medium high density, I think.
It's all gray on my map.
Yeah, sorry, here's a black and white. It is the medium high density for that area. So C3, there was a gentleman there that had a business, just like neighborhood business that he had there. He's sold the property.
Okay.
And
No questions?
But yeah, no, there was no commercial at this particular intersection.
Okay.
Now, there is commercial on the corner of this parcel for the intersection here with 279 and Noah and / Kenyon. But there is, of course, commercial on all other sides of that also. And as far as the parcel, there's a nice delay between the mouse on my computer and the mouse up there. The business park is what is in the land use plan for the parcels south of Highway 102. Now, you did, like I said, just recently rezone the R3 single family and C2 there on the north side, and the medium high density residential, the R3 MF does fit in with what is just to the south of that. So it is adjacent to that medium high density residential. Of course, for transportation, they do have several roads that run through here, as you see. This is Highway 279, so this is a future, well, not future, it is a major arterial on the master street plan. And Kenyon is a major collector. And of course, and then Highway 102 is of course a major arterial. And of course, any road improvements or anything like that will be discussed when development plans are brought in for those. There is a main trail along Keller Road. It would be a 12-foot trail. It's the McKissick Loop. Of course, again, that would be discussed when there's development plans that come into us. There is not a floodplain located on this property. There appears to be, although I covered it up with my information here, there does seem to be a river reed that runs through this property. So they will need a wetlands assessment when that comes up. But I do believe that they are looking to preserve the area through the center of this parcel, because there are some very lovely trees through there, and also that kind of low green area through there. And like I said, the adopted land use plan, it is all of the areas that they have the residential on the north and south side of Kenyon Road. Those are medium to high density residential along, but there is that one little corner of commercial there that is on the master street plan, on the land use plan. But this is a very awkward corner as far as site distance is concerned. So there is some concern about having commercial on that side of the road, because I guess if you're coming south on 279, it's pretty blind coming up to that corner there. And it does meet several things on the land use plan, the comprehensive plan, and those also are included in your packet. Let me know if you have any other questions, comments, concerns, need answers.
Can I answer your question, Tony?
Yes.
Try to read your mind.
Any other questions for any of the commissioners before we go through our questions?
I have some questions. Is this one request? I don't know that I've ever seen anything.
It is one request.
How are we evaluating this? One set of questions, right?
We are evaluating it as one set of questions, yes, but through that, if there's a specific
Sure.
piece or parcel, then I would entertain comments, for one of the four or all of them as we go through the four questions. Okay. All right. Again, they're asking from a rezone from A1 and C3 to R3 multifamily and RTH MF12 and C2. And feel free to ask questions or comments in regards to any one of the four that are before us. Is the rezoning consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan, including the adopted land use plan? If not, why? I'm going to say overall in general, it is in line with the comprehensive plan as far as residential. There's the limits of C2 along 102. So in general, I think that it does kind of fit in line there. Are there specific questions or comments in regards to any one of the parcels?
To me, just looking at what was presented in the master or the land use plan, the A1 to R3 adjacent to 279, it looks like that whole tract was slated to be commercial, not just the corner. I think that's 30, is it 30 acres, 40?
If I hit the wrong.
I see your hand, John. Give me just a second, okay?
It's the one that's on 279, that one right there. Am I wrong? I think that whole thing is slated as commercial, correct?
Oh, see, I'm not seeing that. That's totally different than what she's showing.
Right, I think it's an overlay of what they're asking for, but it's not, the colors behind it aren't really coming through, so you can't really see.
Yeah,
what's
and it's
going on.
hard with those patterns to be able to see what's behind that one. Not getting to what I need, hang on just.
I think this kind of goes back to the, kind of like the King rezone that we had a while back where we're kind of back and forth talking through it. And I think we ended up with a piece of commercial on that corner. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I found it.
That they didn't want to go ahead and do that corner is because of the visibility. The way that it curves and also the elevation, it's kind of like the least desirable for commercial because it's lower than the other points around. So it's still we are still looking at commercial on other areas.
But if
Even
someone-
not with the commercial for that one corner because of the visibility, but all the way through that track is slated for commercial. So you're giving up all of that frontage along 279, right?
Correct.
Not just the corner.
Correct.
And this would still be available down here.
But this also does have a drain that goes with the creeks going through it, the dry creeks. It has that. And we had some pictures.
Yeah, let me get to those. I have a.
Because, I mean, again, we go back to what precedent we set as well. I mean, if we do it for this track, then the other 3 tracks potentially.
And in addition, I'm just gonna bring up some points on, since we've done this, is that this time we were at the highway department coming down and in doing the improvement, it looks like that's going to be pushed westward also. And there is still a lot of commercial property along 102.
I think part of the reason Tony was asking this question a little earlier was, as we get farther out this way, thinking about neighborhood and some others, I mean, it's pretty far away. I was looking at that map and I think it's to the north and to the east. I mean, you have to go pretty far before we have anything designated from a commercial, if you will, to service this area until you come back into town. I mean, you have a gas station that's probably a mile. The gas station is probably a mile from here maybe, but there's nothing designated as commercial, from a neighborhood perspective, if we're not careful. I think that's kind of where you were going with your question.
Talking existing.
No, future. Because there's nothing exists today, but on the future, north and east of here, there is some on the land use plan.
Along 102.
So is this off of a road?
This looks like off of Kenyon.
That's Kenyon looking south.
And here's,
And this, see how the terrain, how it drops down over on the parcel? And that's because the developer did talk with the commercial and, you know, to see if there's any interest on that corner. And there really wasn't, so that's the main reason that they. so
Did you just talk about that specific corner?
Jeff, I've got a question. Since all these are tied together, if we've got a issue with one part of this rezone, does the whole thing go away? I mean, do we have an issue with the whole item? I mean,
You make.
doesn't seem, I just want to clarify, we're not voting on piece by piece by piece. We're voting for one carte blanche request, right?
But I would say that if we wanted to take one out, or we were requested to take one out, we could do that and still proceed.
Okay.
And then it would potentially be brought back.
Okay.
Because they're all tied together. And I didn't ask Brian, but I mean, that would be okay. Is that?
That would be my position as well, that I mean, if you guys can make the recommendation that you want to, and if the developer wants to go ahead and proceed with council approval, they can do so based on what your recommendation may be.
Thank
No, other than that one, I don't know that I have concerns.
Let's move on with our additional questions then. Is the proposed rezoning compatible with the surrounding area and zones? And again, I think that it is compatible in the fact that it is, residential with some commercial along the busier route. So in my mind, it is. But again, I would entertain any comments or questions from any of the commissioners in regards to that. Would all the permitted uses in the new zone be compatible in this location and the surrounding areas? I do think the permitted uses would be compatible again from a residential and from a commercial up there at the busier highway. Does anybody disagree with that or have any comments? Rezoning provide a benefit to one landowner, but not be considered for other similar properties in this area. I do not believe that it benefits one landowner. It is what the same considerations that we would do for all the similar properties in this area. Does anybody disagree with that or have any comments or questions? If the public is opposed to why, and there were no opposition or questions or comments from any of the public in regards to the rezone. So if I summarize, based on your comments, the 2 acres, which is the first one that's listed, from C3 to RTH MF12, everyone's okay with that one?
Yeah.
Second one, which is the 80 acres, A1 to RTH MF12. You guys are okay with that one as well?
Yes.
And the fourth one, which is 19.94 acres, A1 to R3 MF and C2, you're okay with that one as well?
Yes.
So back to the one in question, which is the 40 acres, which is A1 to R3 multifamily, which on the land use plan was designated as commercial, is the one in question. Any thoughts from the developer? Any comments in regards to it?
Well, I mean, if you look at the layout of the land and the way that it has the drainage in the middle of it and it slopes down to the center of it, I just don't see, if you took it, say we did do commercial on 279, it's the rest of that. I mean, I just don't know what commercial you could put there on the back half of it. And then if you did the front, that was bordering 279 commercial, then it would just I mean, there wouldn't, I don't know what you could put there on the second half of it that would be commercial as well. But it would flow.
And there are times though where we have to designate things as commercial or others in which we don't have a place for necessarily. But part of the land use plan is also to think about the future of the city and services, I'll call them, that may or may not be needed out in some of those areas. We're about to put a lot of residential, folks, if you will, out in an area that has traditionally been the country, I'll call it, for lack of a better word. And so there are fewer services that are out there. So that is part of the reason, along with the fact at the time when we did the plan, it's been 2 years now, I guess. We were, under the assumption that 279 would, of course, continue to be developed, if you will, and potentially be a more commercial highway, if you will, from the state.
And another item is you're also benefiting from the land use designating all of that commercial with your higher density residential that we've talked about here. And it's actually set up staggered in that way as you have it presented. So I just want to throw that out there too. It's not, we're kind of looking at it as a whole.
So that, Nick Gooderis, TriStar Contractors. The center of that property is, we carved out a lot of green space down through there. There's a very wet weather creek that runs through that. And got a lot of basically park space there that we're going to develop into playground areas, park areas that are fenced and things of that nature. So when you carve out that area, that you just can't, it's not buildable. It doesn't leave a whole lot of room there for the commercial.
I hear what you're saying, but we also have to consider the bigger picture.
Sure.
Because whatever we do this evening, and if the council accepts it, is the way the land is. And all of a sudden tomorrow you decide to leave and someone doesn't like the park aspect or doesn't like anything like that, then we have to live with what they come back with. And so that's part of the reason that we don't take into account fully what the developer says, because it's land and it's the way that we want it to be used or designated. And so that's what we also have to consider. I hear what you're saying, and they all hear what you're saying, but keep that in mind that tomorrow, if you weren't here, it could be a different story.
We work with a lot of commercial development and have had 4 large companies that's looked at this area, and they don't want to be on that corner at all. It's low, it slopes down. The other across the street is where they want to be, on higher land and higher visible, more visible, and traffic more easily in and out of that side of the road.
You always build it up. And I don't know that we're like keying in on a specific corner. I think we're just looking for something to help meet the intent of the plan a little better. And I don't think we're even asking for the majority of your frontage, maybe in this situation, to be that way. I can't speak for everybody else, but I think
Would reserving the corner for commercial suffice? Take the 300 by 300 foot corner there on 279 at Kenyon.
That's on the back, that's on the.
talking about the northwest corner.
Yes.
I'm more open to that. What was it, 2 or 3 meetings ago, we did something like that on another property. Basically the same situation.
So we could take it.
It was an intersection they wanted to
designate that for commercial.
and we worked with them to carve out a piece for the intersection for future development. Okay, my concern is if we don't adhere to some commercial there, I think Centerton in the past has lost opportunities along 102 by letting development go all the way. And you got to remember, this was years ago, right? And we lost a lot of opportunity by allowing subdivision to build up right against 102. Any major highway that I see I have a hard time not allowing commercial to go against the interstate. From, just based on past history.
So how about doing the 300 by 300 on that corner to commercial?
Would that roughly match everything surrounding it on the other sides? Does anybody know? What's shown?
Walnut is going
We've
to.
always designated at least 300 feet along. 102. And there's nothing unique out there like that other one the other day where the road, I think the one up, where we weren't quite sure where Noah was gonna.
The commercial sections to the north are 500.
But normally we've done, historically, we have done
Yeah,
something
about 300.
acceptable to the commissioners if 300 by 300 that was carved out.
I would feel better about that.
But now would that require this to be taken out for this one? And I'm assuming that would need to be.
That would be, it's
separately.
higher.
It's higher.
But as Jeff stated, we can pull this specific one out and do the rest of them, the other 6, because we have 7 total, right?
Is there no way we can push it through tonight?
No, because it's published as a lower, and because it's considered a higher use, the notification would be different. So somebody that may have shown up tonight, even though we didn't have anybody that was here to speak, if we had published it as one thing and designated it as something different, then we wouldn't have been notifying anybody of that. So we would need to do a second one for that particular parcel and just consider it as we went through.
That's not us trying to be difficult, that's illegal.
Everybody approving the rest of it without that corner? The 40 acres?
Not on the,
And do so and have it go on to council. This one back.
so we would approve it as this minus a 300 by 300.
That's what he's asking.
Right.
Yes.
I'd be appreciated if we could do that.
Brian, is that okay? I can see you wanted to talk.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I think we can. I would prefer to, to have the notice exactly what it is, but this is lesser, so I think we probably can do it if you guys choose to approve it, but
And then it would come back before us at the next available opportunity,
right.
with the publications and stuff.
You'd probably want to pick that up on your lot split as well, I would imagine. As a separate tract.
Say that again, sorry.
Probably want to pick up that commercial piece as a separate tract on your lot split that you have coming in as well. I don't know if that parcel was included on your lot split. You mentioned, it wasn't.
No, it's the 2 acres here.
Yeah.
John, did you have something to say? I saw you unmuted.
Oh, no, it was covered. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Any other questions or comments or concerns from any of the commissioners? If there are not, then everything as presented, except for the 40 acres would be designated with a 300 by 300 for future as commercial. What we'll be voting on this evening. And
So Jeff, do we want to motion for the rest of it or just pull that one parcel out and table that one parcel completely?
no, because we're not going to table the parcel. We're going to go ahead and approve it. And then with the designation of that 300 by 300. And then there'll be a future
Come
meeting,
back.
which we'll do that because it'll have to be a track split, most likely in order for us to get that 300 by 300.
Okay, so we'll see it on the tracks, but I got you.
For zoning, track split's not actually.
Not-
Yeah, they would just have to come in with a new
Okay.
application designating that northwest 300 by 300 as commercial.
If there are no further comments or questions, then I would entertain a motion in regards to the public hearing Rezone 22-02, the 7 properties for TriStar Construction.
This is Joey, I'll make a motion to approve rezone 2202, TriStar Contractors, as presented, except a 300 by 300 foot piece of land that abuts Kenyon and Highway 279 on the 40-acre parcel that is presented as A1 to R3MF.
Second. Motion and a second. Laura, if you do a roll call for me, please.
All right. Joe Eagle.
Yes.
Devin Murphy.
Yes.
Jerry Harris.
Yes.
Amber Beal,
Yes.
John Sessoms,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis,
Yes.
Tommy Davis,
Yes.
and Jeff Seifert.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. All right. Next on the agenda this evening is PUD 2107 Ridgecrest discussion at the northwest corner of Northwest Vaughn Road and Wagner Road. It is zoned R3 single family, 48.66 acres. The developer is Roush Coleman, Jesse and Taylor down.
Evening. Taylor Lindley with Crutch and Toll. Yeah, tonight we're here really for conversations, get some discussion going on this, seek out some guidance. So the property before you was rezoned a few years ago, I believe. And we are planning to submit the preliminary plat at this next submittal deadline, which is on Monday, the 7th. And so that will be coming back before you, I believe in May, for the preliminary plat. So along with that, we have 3 streets that abut the property. One on the west side is Nugget Road. On the east side is Wagner Road, and on the south is Vaughn. Nugget is classified as a collector, Vaughn as an arterial, and Wagner, I believe, is just a local street. So what we provided staff is a kind of a breakdown of 3 different alternatives. One being master street plan requirements for half street improvements. If you were to take our property line, call it the center line of the future roads, and offset it per the master street plan, that would be what is presented in option 1. Option 2 is.
Hold on just a second. Go back to the dialogue. Diane, sorry, I was reading along as he was
Oh,
speaking.
two different things going on over here.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. All right, go ahead.
So option 1, yeah, half street improvements per master street plan. And basically came up with a total construction cost for the 3 abutting streets based on that street improvement. Option 2 is basically saying no improvements to Nugget Road. And we would just have to put the 10-foot trail over there. Our plan does not show any access to Nugget Road, and therefore would not have any increased traffic on Nugget or any access to it whatsoever. So our thought process was we could just dedicate a fee in lieu for those improvements to the city for a future street project sometime down the road. It would be the same street, the half street improvements on Vaughn, or really more of a just widening on Vaughn. The existing pavement's okay there, and it would just be widening it to the current master street plan. And then on Wagner, we would have to pave the road and get it to a width that is acceptable to the fire department, for fire access, which is typically 20 feet. And so that's what's shown as far as our improvements to Wagner. And so those costs were assessed and then basically compiled as a total construction cost, and then compared to the option 1 above it and saying, here's your fee in lieu for the difference. Option 3 was presented, basically saying, like I mentioned, Vaughn's in pretty good condition. And the widening of Vaughn is not going to be adding any lanes to it. It's just going to be moving it to a master street plan standard. And the other awkward thing about it is that it's kind of, it's a mile or 2 down Vaughn. So we're kind of in the middle of the full length of it, and we'd only be widening that one little section of it there. So we thought it might be a better opportunity for the city to take the funds and, like I said, apply it to a future street job, kind of accomplish it all at once sometime down the line. Like I said, here for a discussion tonight, want some guidance. We got word earlier today from staff about the possibility of flipping our option 2 from improving Wagner to improving Nugget. So basically taking our access to Nugget and not Wagner basically mirroring our site more or less. Ultimately, we're okay with the idea. The only hiccup with that is Nugget is a county road. The property that we have is right on the county line, and Nugget being the county line. So there's some kind of ambiguity, unknown about what the county will or won't let us do there. I made a call to the county engineer today, and it's not fully understood as to what we can do legally. So that's kind of the caveat we throw on that idea is we're open to it, we're okay with it, but we can't really commit to it without knowing what the county is going to require of us. So as I said, open for further discussion. I have a representative from the developer here as well. We're available for any questions you might have.
I got one for you. Option one, would Wagner Road not be required to be 20 feet wide?
So the idea there is establish a baseline construction cost on Half Street improvements. For the paved surface for fire access, yes, it would have to be 20 feet wide, but per the master street plan, it's 13 feet from center line. So the cost analysis was done off the master street plan requirement as if it was already paved, right? Since it's a dirt road, we know we have to pay beyond that. And so that's kind of why we're doing one versus the other.
Is that additional 7 feet ever added back in? You know what I'm saying?
So
you're gonna have to do it, right?
Yes.
If you went that route. That would take that total construction cost on the first one up.
Yeah, the idea there is Nugget and Wagner are both dirt roads right now. And so both of them per the master street plan, set your cost from the center line. Let's take the funds from one and apply it to the other. So we have a full width street for fire access more or less. And then the difference would be given to the city for the.
I understand.
I think your question is the fee in lieu of $74,000 short?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
Only based on the fact that you're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have to access Nugget. I guess that's kind of the argument is since we're only accessing one of the two roads and we only need one for fire.
Specifies that you have to improve it only if you access it.
No, I understand that. Yeah, the requirement is Half Street improvements and we know, so that's the code requirement for the city side of things.
I understand why you did that. I was bringing that up.
Were you going to show us something else? Or did you have some other discussion?
We have some exhibits that were provided.
Okay.
The exhibits just go with each option, kind of showing what the, basically hatching out the improvement for each adjoining street for each option. We are committed to building the trail for, I think the trail is shown to go along Nugget and along Vaughn, not Wagner. We're just do a typical 5-foot sidewalk on Wagner. So as I mentioned earlier, staff's recommendation was to take this point and basically close that off with a 90 and wrap lots around that corner and take our access out here and improve Nugget and leave Wagner as the dirt road. Like you said, I don't think it really affects our ability to do one or the other or the cost to do one or the other. It's more just the county portion of it.
Well, and really at the end of the day, every option you present, it's the same price. So,
Exactly. Yeah, we're not looking to get out of any requirements for sure.
I mean, what's the thought between you, I don't know if you're the EOR on this and staff on what the best solution might be?
I'll let staff speak to their thoughts first.
So staff had met, we received the 3 options late last week. So we met to discuss all 3 of them yesterday. And the general consensus is that we would like to see improvements on 2 roads, whether that is Vaughn and Wagner or Vaughn and Nugget, we can discuss, but we do want to see improvements on 2. So generally speaking, we would prefer that the improvements be made on Nugget because it is the larger road.
want to see 24 of asphalt because that's what we would need for 2 full lanes of traffic. So that's something that we'd like to discuss. And we'll want to see the trails, we'll want to see street trees, things like that.
What's going on the parcels that are on the other sides of both of those roads? Anything with them yet?
This one,
Yes.
Not much that we know of right now.
And so from our standpoint, we know one of the either the east or the west street has to be approved for fire access. We get that. And so which one it is, like I said, we don't really care. Our only concern is the county portion on the west side. And specifically, we can provide a survey to, submit with our preliminary plat. Our west boundary or west property line there kind of follows the east edge of pavement, more or less. Not the center line, the road meanders a little bit, so it's not a perfect line, but the straight line for the boundary is closer to the east side of the road. And just the main concern from our end is how can we legally tie across that boundary if there's no right of way there? We're gonna be on someone else's property. We know there's prescriptive right of way in the county in a lot of cases, but that gets a little tricky to prove where that ends or where, if it's edge of pavement, there's no bar ditch on that side of the road either. So drainage could be a concern. Nugget seems like a more challenging road to improve without taking a more holistic approach and doing the entire street at one time. Wagner seems to be simpler in our minds. And then, like I mentioned, our preference would be the fee in lieu on Vaughn as well. We're not opposed to widening it. We just don't see the benefit in widening it at this time, just because it is kind of smack dab in the middle and you're back to narrow, or you're not narrow, but back to the regular Vaughn Road, both to the east and the west.
Where's the closest existing trail to tie into? I mean, that's not gonna be just a trail to nowhere, is it?
I think it will be for a time, but when those roads develop further out, then the trail section will be built further out as well.
We'd like to hear from Lance, if you will. He raised his hand.
Well, staff, and I'll talk to staff. We need to get Vaughn Road established. It needs to be curb and gutter. We've got 2 parcels down here, possibly 3 or 4 parcels down here that we're gonna require them to be Vaughn. We need to do that now. I don't think that's an option. That's my opinion. I don't think that's an option.
I agree with that.
Build it out.
I think we're all in agreement with that.
This right here, the only thing staff was looking at, and I apologize, is this right here making the connectivity come up. You come to a T, it's dirt road this way, dirt road this way, dirt road this way. It goes for a long ways. Down through here, we, the street department, have widened.
Oh, now you confused me.
I was trying to, okay, this is the parcel he was talking. I'll go back to.
I'll let you borrow mine if you need.
We've widened this down to a portion, and they did some improvements over here, but down through here, we're coming into Heifel. And I hate to use the word, but it's a pig trail. And you gotta have a 4-wheel drive to get through there, and you're cutting Heifel's property off. We didn't see an easy access to this. But coming over here to Nugget Road, it would bring in Nugget up and everything. We've got asphalt up here to Motley in a straight shot. So if this develops, there's a possibility we could connect into asphalt here, and it's a shorter distance with this being asphalt to get up to there. Then asphalt in this, and then we're stagnant. We either gotta come over here to go up to asphalt, or we gotta go a good ways to get the asphalt up there. You ask about the trail. The trail's gotta be on this side, because when we come up here, it will connect up here to Motley, I believe it's a short distance to a future trail.
Okay.
So the 10-foot trail really needs to be on this side, but that's the only thing staff was looking at is This is probably not a possibility. It could be, who knows? I mean, it could be straightened out, come through here. And that's what we're looking at. But I think either way, the city's gonna have to do something to help with the asphalt sooner or later, whether it's helping improve Nugget if Wagner's done, or doing Nugget and improving Wagner. I mean, we're gonna have to do something if development come in, but I mean, that could be a possibility. We don't know what is going for as fast as they're going. But that's what the only thing staff was looking at. Why what we did, but there again, it's their development. We can only make recommendations. We thought that would be a good idea. Because it would be easy, it would be a straighter shot for us to get connectivity with asphalt. But Vaughn, I mean, we definitely need Vaughn improved. I don't think, like I said, we got properties down that way that are doing it. We've already to do it. If we just piecemeal it, then we're never gonna get it done. I think we keep the piecemeal going and get the widening. I mean, that's my opinion.
And
I think
basically,
it's
it
a
would,
great plan. You know, like you said, you can mirror it either way. I think staff agrees you can mirror it either way. I love the trail all the way around it. We were kind of excited if you did flip flop it, you got my loop where I can do the half mile, then get off it versus the 10 miles around it. That's my wife. I'm on the half mile one. I thought that was cool. But either way, I think it's a great concept plan. Staff agrees. One way, half dozen of another. Seriously.
Any concerns with Nugget in the county or
Well,
something
that's a
like to
big
work out?
concern. I think, I absolutely, I agree with them. I think staff even thought about that and said, whoa, can we do it? Can we not do it? I think there's a lot of stuff there. We're on Wagner, we can do it.
We've approached this on another property, another city as well, but it was still dealing with a county street. And the big thing is the county wants right-of-way acquisition. They don't want to work off their prescriptive right-of-way.
Well, and that's nothing to say, I don't have my thing in here, right here. If these two parcels annex into the city and then they do Nugget, then we can do the same thing. They do their 24 and the city adds the 8 foot and we got a 38-foot road through there. And we don't have no legal legalities to get around because we're in the city. Where right now we can get at least a full road for a good ways around Wagner and not hit any legalities. I'm not an attorney and I didn't sleep at a hotel late last night. All right. What do you think for legalities? I mean, that he's the attorney.
I think Taylor's here to we're trying to submit
a development plan on Monday, and right now our plans shows the improvements on Wagner. And I think, we got to submit the street improvement agreement for you all to review anyway. So as we mentioned, we can just go ahead and take Vaughn off the table, go ahead and plan on showing that in our plans. As far as our development or our submittal on Monday, I would still say maybe we show Wagner and we commit or have some sort of, we're not taking a vote tonight, so there's nothing, but some way to say we'll explore the option of Nugget with the county and with the adjacent property owners we can't commit to doing that just basically because we can't commit to paving beyond our property line.
I agree. I think Nugget is a good choice, but I think the county right away is just kills it. It almost seems like those properties need to annex before anything.
Those properties were annexed and dedicated the right of way would be no problem. Yes.
Personally, I feel like we kind of owe it to the developer to give them a track to go forward with. It's kind of concrete. To me, that seems like Wagner. I mean, that's our only other option.
I don't disagree with you at this
I
time.
think Nuggets, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What do you think?
I personally like the Nugget. I mean, we got a wide road. I understand what he's up against. Even if it's just a partial improvement right now with money fee in lieu of
in preparation for the annexation or future development to the west.
Still get the fee in lieu of for
Like,
the.
I just don't want them to waste money on Wagner if they can get it on the Nugget. What I'm saying and what Lance just displayed, just
You don't
showed.
want to waste money on Wagner if what?
And they're gonna have to improve.
I mean, yeah, there'll be some improvements, right, but not the full.
What was your
You got
Wagner?
a 17, what it's 17
That's
foot
all.
road right now on Nugget, and you got a 13-foot wide road on Wagner.
It'd be 20.
Yeah, we'd go 20 foot wide, 20 foot of asphalt, curb and gutter, and a 5 foot sidewalk.
And then just a fee in lieu for.
We're still showing to build the trail along Nugget, no matter what, but the fee in lieu would be for the paving portion.
I mean, the dollars are all the same.
Yeah, it all adds up, so. But I do like what Lance was showing on Nugget. It all makes sense on the connectivity there to come faster than it would on Wagner, put it that way. And it seems like it would be a better entryway off Nugget on the west side than it would be on the east side.
Can you go back to the typical sections real quick?
But the minute you do that, then all the property on the Wagner sells and then you're 50-50. You're trying to anticipate what happens in the future.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For option one,
That one's fine, yeah.
okay.
So this is option one, yeah. So the only thing we could really commit to, in my opinion, is this. Maybe if we wanted to focus on Nugget, it might be a fire marshal. This would be 18 and a half feet from face of the curb to the center line. We could set that center line of the paved edge on our property line, tied into the dirt road, the other half is right there. So if just like that, Wagner alone. Go from there, but it's technically 1.5 foot.
Can't even do that for fire, right?
Well, the fire.
All the code says is it holds 75,000 pounds, that's 20 feet. We do, there's a project we're looking at, they have an existing drive, a residential type complex. If I remember right, the existing concrete drive is like 12 feet. And they're adding on each side, hard packed gravel to get it to withstand the 75,000 pounds to get the full 20 foot width. Because the code is very big. Personally, I would prefer to see 20 foot of hard surface. It's easier to maintain for street department. I don't have to worry about my trucks sinking over time. But
You measure that to the face of the curb. You reduce the green space section by 1.5 feet.
We have a half paved road, half dirt road.
right.
Ends up being a 17-foot gravel shoulder,
Exactly.
which if they ever do annex in, the one thing we talked about is Nugget's supposed to be a collector. If you remember, the half-mile down was Tycoon. That one's supposed to be the arterial. But there's upgrades going down there along there as well. And that's why we're looking at a collector on the west, half-mile down an arterial, upgrading a half-mile section or quarter-mile section, is that what that is, of Wagner. It's gonna be, that's the only paved section on Wagner. Either we're gonna be forced to then pave the rest of Wagner, and just going from Vaughn to Tycoon. Because like I said, south of Wagner would require significant upgrades to actually connect to another major road. And that's why we were pushing for Nugget
Sure.
over Wagner.
Then we have the other constraints of the county.
Right. Well, that's the one thing that wasn't mentioned and it throws that wrench in there is that Vaughn, I think we know needs to be upgraded in lieu of doing to cover the rest of that cost, just so we can get Nugget what we need. through if we have to do right of way acquisition or wait till it annexes to build that entire road. Is that the one we want to make sure we concentrate on, or just get one of them now? And for discussion, there are multiple options. Again, we're just trying to predict where the development occurs and where we want to try to direct some of that traffic. Better improved roads.
Don Draper with the developer, with the applicant. I think just to reiterate kind of what Taylor was trying to describe here, and this is not exact, but the property line that we're looking to purchase is probably somewhere right around in the area of the curb. So our biggest problem with Nugget, we would love to do Vaughn and Nugget. I think it makes a lot of sense as well. We're totally fine with that. The problem is we don't own the property. We're not going to own the property. We can't dedicate it to the city. And we're building a street in the county that, again, the county may not agree to let us build. We don't know. We've been encountering this before and have not had a lot of luck with the county. So if the city could acquire that right away on Nugget and provide that right away for us and annex that in some way, we'd be happy to do that. I think you've got two property owners that are there alongside that I don't know if they're gonna, what their opinions are, or if they're gonna be okay with that, if that's something they're agreed to.
Can you pull up, it might have to go to like a county GIS. I want to say that's,
And Highville.
yeah, I was about to say the northwest corner of Nugget and Vaughn is Highville.
Well, not their city limits, I don't think.
It's not city limits. It's in the county as
Let me
well.
pull up that map.
I think I looked at that today when I was talking to the county engineer.
So it'd be Highville County and the city here.
Correct. Just to throw another curveball, I try my best. But I do remember the county engineer brought that up to me when I was talking to him. So I want to make sure that we all are considering that as well.
Once it loads, I will happily show.
The other interesting thing is that just as it falls, Wagner, we own most of Wagner Road when we close on the property. So we can do everything that we need to do to Wagner to deliver. The paving section there, the city won't have to dedicate it. It's also in that corridor that's kind of growing out there. We've got a lot of green space between us and the corner. Main or whatever. So we can deliver a full improvement there basically on Wagner and deliver the Vaughn Road. It's just, Nugget is a big mess being out in the county. We can also do a fee in lieu on all of it. Give you the money and let you guys know that.
I think it's hard for us to tell you that build a road on land we don't own. It's not city right away. There's so many issues with that.
That one little corner there.
That's our city limits. This is our planning area. This is Highville and their city limits, or their planning area.
So their planning area is the west side of Nugget Road.
Yes. Partial right here.
But that little corner is actually in the city limits. Yeah. The little corner is the next section.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's problematic.
We got like the Wagner.
Yep. I'm gonna go with the Wagner.
Yeah,
Wagner with the fee in lieu of for Nugget at this point.
Yeah, build the trail, right? And full build out of Vaughn.
Yeah, well, I think 8 foot of pavement was what was requested in the staff report. Urban gutter. As far as the trail along Nugget, I know there was some conversation about our concept plan shows it meandering a little bit, kind of because we have so much space there with that overhead easement. So do we want a straight shot where it eventually fall, or do we want it to kind of?
You know where the electrical is, it towers, are they all
huge overhead, huge overhead?
Worry is if they come in and decide they want to put it underground, are you gonna lose?
So let's do a straight shot where it would eventually fall in the master street plan.
I just don't want to lose the sidewalk and then we have to go and replace it. If it's in their easement,
We would need to see the easement document. Put it in there, I imagine. I'll speak for it. Can we see the plan view of the?
That's not gonna show the poles that hatches it. But they're roughly centered on that.
Midway.
They're roughly centered on that easement. It goes up our west boundary and the north boundary. 100-foot easement.
50 on either side of the.
My thought on your question about whether or not it will be removed. If they decide to take it underground, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much you can do about it. I think if you leave it kind of more out in space, you get it further away from the typical section, you have less concern about the grade bust. You know, if we place it now, it's gonna be at existing grade, whereas when the road gets built, there's a chance that those grades get changed based on drainage requirements, whatever. Then certain sections of sidewalks might get removed and replaced based on that. So I would propose probably leaving it off of the trail section a little, or off the street section a little bit, and just allowing it to tie in at the northwest corner of the site. Further development comes. Like I said,
I just want to see, like you said, how the easement's written, what they can do.
I don't recall off the top of my head. It's been a while since I looked at that.
I mean, I think there's also a benefit of keeping it further off the road for some, more of a felt safety.
It's unusable space either way. Get pedestrians friendly. And for us, from a cost standpoint, once again, we'll just factor that into the fee and limit whatever we end up building and subtract out.
You said it was Carol.
I don't foresee if we're leaving them that much room going underground anytime soon with that big on it, but
I don't see them taking it underground, honestly.
Any way you can keep my trail in there on the pond? Sure.
it's around the pond.
It's around the pond.
Have like 100 Strava segments on there.
Answer all your questions.
I think that gives us direction for our submittal.
Thank you. There's a council meeting on 3/8 in this building. Our next planning commission meeting is 3/15 again in the same building. There's a tech review meeting on 3/24. Anything else from any of the commissioners or staff? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Adjourned.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? All right, thank you. Have a good evening. Rest of the week. Blah, blah, blah.
Damn it.